I'm sure it's wonderful, darling. It only sounds shitty.
Yeah, thanks.
Could I play?
Meghan Markle.
Sure, you can play.
Hey!
Game on, America!
Okay, well, you don't get paid for that.
I don't care. Don't care.
On Suits, I was a series regular. I was Rachel Zane, attorney at law.
What the hell?
What did you say? He victimized me. It's because I'm an ethnic woman.
Okay, well, I actually didn't do anything, but I'm glad you have a job.
He can't do that. I'll see. Wait, you're ethnic? This is an outrage. We'll just see how he deals with my blueprints.
Yeah, well, it's technically not a job. Don't know where you heard that.
Don't worry, my love. He's not gonna get away with this.
Would you ever consider joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Are you serious?
The yacht rumors were meant to fade quietly, a silent buzz on the internet, a deep dive on Reddit, a forbidden topic that no major outlet would touch until now, because when those fresh South Park storyboard shots showed up, not aired, not official, not real, it flipped everything. No Comedy Central tag, no name of the episode, just 5 stamped images that popped up on a small animation subreddit late Tuesday night.
You got your survey answers, and I think we've put together some great ideas for your brand.
At first they looked like a prank, but once people zoomed in and noticed the wide-brimmed brunette cartoon figure sipping pink rose on the deck of an insanely luxurious mega yacht, with a red-haired prince awkwardly swimming behind her holding a crying baby-shaped float labeled Public Sympathy, Reddit lost it. By morning the images were everywhere, on TikTok, X, Tumblr, Instagram stories, and even in global tabloids, and just like that the yacht girl story became official canon.
I understand you want people to like you more and think you're cool.
The post got taken down right away, accounts were locked, but the damage was already done. South Park had gone after what the Sussexes feared the most, those swirling yacht rumors that floated around forums and blind items for years, and turned them into animation with zero subtlety. Within hours fan pages were breaking down every single frame. Meghan, clearly the stand-in, not named, but obviously styled, was shown surrounded by helpers fanning her. With scrolls labeled "Ndaz," she's lying back on a lounge chair made of press clippings, her rose bottle marked "Ever Vintage Deflection."
History pretty much suck. I mean, the Crusades, Hitler, Prince Harry marrying Meghan Markle. Again? Oh, like all of your wives are so much.
In one frame she's holding a contract that says "New Life," who dis, while the prince gets sunscreen sprayed into his eye by a drone labeled Daily Mail. Even people who had dismissed the original Worldwide Privacy Tour episode were now admitting it. This wasn't just a joke, it was ruthless, and it meant something bigger, because the one thing South Park does better than satire is symbolism, and by showing Meghan, a real royal family defector, on a fantasy yacht floating above a sea of flashing cameras and failed branding deals, they didn't just bring the rumor back, they locked it in as a pop culture legend.
It's so nice to have you back in London, Meghan. I've missed our little lunches.
We've never had lunch together, Kate.
Well, we must continue the tradition.
The irony is Meghan's team had spent years trying to wipe the term yacht girl from search results, reportedly ordering digital cleanups, hiring online reputation experts, and even threatening legal action against forums that talked about it too directly, and now this an Emmy-winning cartoon had pushed it into the spotlight through leaked storyboard images before the episode even aired. Several former animation staff have since spoken out, anonymously confirming the leak was real. One ex-Comedy Central worker said it was from the episode's cold open, a flashback fantasy showing the Duchess's obsession with starting over, and the internet loved it. The phrase yacht girl trended for 8 hours straight, something that hadn't happened since the Sussexes split from the royal family. But this wasn't just a leak, it was a targeted strike, and while Archewell rushed to build a crisis team, insiders say things got worse because the couple didn't go to PR. First, they allegedly went straight to their lawyers. And that's when things turned ugly.
And you know what else? To hell with Canada! We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife!
As soon as the leak reached full speed, Archewell went into full meltdown. Not the usual media cleanup routine, this was deeper. According to one insider, the call came at 2:46 a.m. Montecito time. A staffer was pulled out of bed with a single instruction: activate black status. She had seen it, she meaning Meghan, and what she saw was the cartoon. Within 20 minutes the estate's internal Slack channels exploded. Legal, PR, branding, digital teams all pulled into an emergency Zoom meeting. Meghan reportedly refused to go on camera, choosing audio only, but her voice, according to sources, was cold controlled and exact. No press releases, no Instagram posts. She said, "I want cease and desists, I want takedowns, I want the Reddit user found."
Oh, you're hilarious, Meghan. Meghan. Why did you move back here anyway?
It was ultimately a tough call, but there were a lot of factors to consider.
This wasn't about striking back, it was all defense. The team ran through a dozen strategies. Could they spin it for sympathy, call it another case of sexist media targeting? Could Meghan write an emotional op-ed about the trauma of being mocked for clicks? But every route was risky, especially now, because South Park didn't just joke about them, they blurred the line between parody and accusation. That yacht scene wasn't just a gag, it was sharp, it hit the exact rumor Meghan's team had worked for years to erase, and even worse, it turned viral in cartoon form. Behind the scenes, Archwell brought in more legal firepower. Sources say a top entertainment lawyer from New York joined within hours, and a UK defamation specialist was put on standby. The firm reportedly sent out over a dozen legal notices by midday, aimed at web hosts, image sites, and even meme pages that matched the cartoon with actual yacht photos from Meghan's life before royalty. But the internet doesn't forget, and it punishes anyone who tries to scrub history too hard.
It has been several months now since our beloved Queen has died. All Canadians are finding it hard to go on. All Canadians, that is, except for our first guest, the Prince and his wife.
By the time Meghan's legal team sent their first takedown notice, screenshots of the cartoon had already been saved in over 20 different Telegram channels, Reddit threads, and Google Drives. The Streisand effect had kicked in at full force. Meanwhile, Harry didn't show up for the Zoom. According to two separate insiders, he wandered into the garden sometime after 3 a.m. and wasn't seen again until close to noon. His phone usually lit up with calls from his therapist, his charity team, or even a random cousin. Stayed completely silent, no messages, no calls. Staff members reportedly found him sitting by the chicken coop staring out at the vineyard. One person described the moment as strangely still, like he was just trying to stay calm through the chaos. Because while Meghan shifted into legal overdrive, Harry froze. This wasn't like the reaction to the Oprah interview or the Spotify fallout or even the Vanity Fair ghostwriter drama. This was cartoon canon.
Oh?
What did he just say? He victimized me! It's because I'm an ethnic woman!
He can't do that! I'll see. Wait, you're ethnic? This is an outrage! We'll just see how he deals with my...
And deep down, Harry understood that once South Park targets you twice, you're no longer seen as misunderstood, you're seen as a recurring joke. And worse, this time he didn't even get a punchline, just a floaty and a cartoon tear. But the biggest PR shockwave hadn't hit yet, because brands were already paying attention. The entertainment world doesn't run on emotion, it runs on strategy. And once those yacht frames from South Park went viral, you could almost hear the brakes hitting across Hollywood boardrooms. By the time Meghan's lawyers started sending takedowns, industry executives were already holding meetings, not to manage their own damage, but to create distance. One senior producer at a competing streaming platform said at least 2 of Meghan's ongoing projects were instantly marked as high risk. One was a lifestyle docuseries linked to her as ever brand, promoted as a reflection on wellness, resilience, and reinvention. The other was a rom-com style scripted show with strong autobiographical themes. Now both are on hold.
There were highs and lows. It's all good. Anyway, see you guys at tea. Come on, Harry.
One executive reportedly called the situation a reputational sinkhole. Another put it more directly, saying no one wants to launch a show that's going to get memed before the trailer even drops. Next up was the Rose collaboration. Meghan's as ever wine label had already faced quiet rumors about being a private label product with simple branding slapped on, but the South Park leak tipped it past the line. One high-end distributor who had agreed to a limited rollout at boutique California spots quietly put things on hold.
How many more princes and his wives have to live in this nightmare?
Sources close to the deal said the distributor pulled out due to concerns about brand confusion and the risk of satire backlash. In other words, if the product becomes the joke, the wine doesn't sell. And it didn't stop there. 2 wellness influencers, one in Australia and one in Canada, reportedly dropped out of scheduled as ever promotions, citing bad optics after the cartoon aired. Another influencer, known for her feminist image, allegedly told her agent she couldn't promote Rose to trauma survivors. The same week, South Park turned Meghan into a floating meme. Ouch. Meanwhile, podcast studios have gone completely quiet after Spotify ended their deal last year. Meghan's team had been pitching a reboot described as more raw, emotional, and unfiltered, but now insiders say big players like Amazon, Apple, and iHeart have backed away. One rep was overheard calling the concept PR poison with a mic. Even publicists are pulling back. A major celebrity branding agency previously tied to Archwell campaigns reportedly chose not to renew their contract. Their reasoning: satirical fatigue. They didn't say the couple was toxic, they said they were jokes, and that's even worse, because in Hollywood controversy can still be sold, but being mocked, being viewed as not serious, that's the real career ender.
We can be the people we talked about being, with no more worries about how we look or the image we project to people. What matters is what we have on the inside.
One agent reportedly told a Netflix staffer, "You can't outbrand parody, you can't reframe things once you've been turned into a trope, and Meghan's trope, now locked in by cartoon, isn't inspirational anymore, it's theatrical, it's a bottle of rose on a floating throne surrounded by ndas and hashtags, and Harry, well, he's just the guy trying to catch up." But while Hollywood may have cooled off, the silence across the Atlantic was even colder, because in the UK the palace said absolutely nothing, maybe just a smirk, no official comments, no strategic press leaks, not even a whisper from palace insiders, and yet that silence said everything. As Meghan and Harry scrambled in Montecito, the royal machine didn't flinch. There were no unnamed sources speaking gently on the king's behalf, no public signals to separate the crown from the drama, no subtle gestures of support, just total quiet, and that quiet said more than any headline ever could.
We're hoping the ketchups and mustards are going to be sold at Whole Foods, which, would be huge. Oh, and they're all organic, in case anyone was wondering.
According to royal correspondents, Kensington Palace was made aware of the South Park leak almost immediately. One staffer reportedly saw the Yacht cartoon the same morning it blew up and dropped it into a WhatsApp chat called Ice, and spare the group's reaction, cry, laugh emojis, no strategy, no urgency, just proof that the Sussexes had officially become pop culture material. But the real story wasn't the silence, it was the smirk. Prince William, usually stone-faced and controlled, was attending a youth mental health summit the day after the cartoon started trending. Photographers crowded him, reporters shouted, and then came the question. A bold journalist asked, "Have you seen the South Park leak?" Sir William didn't respond. He didn't have to. He paused, slightly tilted his head, and for just a moment his mouth twitched. Not a smile, not a laugh, just the tiniest curve, and to royal watchers that was massive, because William doesn't show emotion in public, especially not about them, and yet that flicker said everything. It was the royal version of a mic drop. Insiders say it wasn't just a personal reaction, it was a calculated one, a message that the palace was done. No more defending, no statements, no subtle shows of unity, not even a whisper to support the Sussexes' claim of being mistreated. And that level of cold detachment is where it cuts deepest, because after all the interviews, all the books, all the podcasts, somewhere Harry was still hoping for some private sign that they still had his back, something unspoken, even if it couldn't be public. Instead, what he got was the sound of doors quietly closing behind him.
Hi, I'm Meghan Markle,
And I'm Harry. Harry.
and we're royal.
One former aide said the internal mood among staff was quiet satisfaction, like after years of being called racists, liars, and manipulators in interviews and bestsellers, it felt like karma had finally shown up, wearing a cartoon crown and sipping rose on a floating yacht. And let's be real, this wasn't just about Harry. For Meghan, the silence hit even harder, because while the firm may have been prepared for conflict with Harry, they never really saw Meghan as one of them. She wasn't pushed out, she was never truly brought in. So now, with South Park turning her past into parody and public opinion shifting from wrong duchess to calculated media player, the royal family didn't need to say a word. The culture was doing the work for them, and just when it looked like maybe the fallout would settle, that the storm might pass quietly, something unexpected happened. The internet started digging and remembered exactly where the yacht rumors came from, and suddenly it wasn't just about satire anymore, it was about receipts. Because this didn't start with South Park, and it definitely didn't start with TikTok. These whispers had roots going back over a decade to old WordPress blogs, obscure blind items, and hidden corners of gossip forums long ignored by the mainstream press.
We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion?
And as Rachel Zane from Suits, a rising TV actress, polished, fashionable, always seen at the right events, and sometimes, according to online sleuths, appearing in places she couldn't publicly explain. A superyacht off the coast of Aetha, a high-end party in Mykonos, Dubai, or Sardinia, all locations mentioned in now deleted LinkedIn posts that hinted at a web of social introductions between young actresses and elite billionaires. The claims were vague, the photos, if they existed, were grainy. Most of it would have stayed buried in conspiracy corners if it weren't for a few repeating details: the same yacht name, the same hospitality agency, the same time frames, and Meghan's name showing up over and over, sometimes in initials, sometimes spelled out. It wasn't just men's forums either. The rumors made it into Daily Mail comment sections, early Instagram gossip circles, even into proto-Dumois style accounts before Dumois was a thing. Some said she was already moving in elite circles before meeting Harry. Others believed her publicist helped coordinate discreet travel. Nothing was ever confirmed. Meghan never addressed it publicly, and still the rumor wouldn't go away, not because it exploded, but because it lingered. It didn't act like a typical smear campaign. It followed her quietly, like a shadow tagging along as she transitioned from actress to activist, from red carpets to royal palaces, and every time she stepped into the Spotlight the whispers echoed louder after the Oprah interview after the Spotify fallout, but nothing reignited it like when South Park turned it into animation.
And please stop sending me samples.
I hear you, Andy. I'll amp it up. I'll smash a wine glass. I'll tell Kyle she has Munchausen syndrome. I'll accuse Dorit of doing coke.
See, satire holds power because it doesn't require evidence, it just needs familiarity. When the cartoon showed a woman who looked exactly like Meghan lounging on a yacht labeled Image Rehab Retreat with NDAs fluttering and dollar bills flying like confetti, it didn't create a story, it validated one, at least for those who'd been connecting the dots for years, and just like that, old blog posts resurfaced screenshots from deleted forums, archived links from long-defunct sites' photo matchups flight. Paths, even podcast soundbites where guests hinted at a certain duchess who used to make rounds on the Mediterranean scene. TikTok did what TikTok does, it turned rumor into content. Side-by-side comparisons, grainy photos over voiceovers, explainers on yacht culture, jet travel, overlaps, exclusive party maps. The hashtag yacht allegations passed 2 million views in under 2 days, and no, it doesn't prove anything, but in the media world today, momentum beats truth, and when that momentum is wrapped in humor stamped with Emmy-level writing and seen by millions, perception turns into legend. That's why Meghan's team didn't just panic over the cartoon, they panicked over what it might reignite. And while she was trying to shut the box again, Harry started slipping further, because even if he didn't fully know where the yacht story came from, he could clearly see where it was going. And while Meghan organized lawyers and strategists like chess pieces on a board, Harry was simply gone, not in the calls, not in the meetings, not even in the kitchen that morning. According to staff, he had disappeared.
Thanks. Okay, see you later. Oh, would you pick up some milk?
Sources close to the couple say Harry spent most of that week in what they now call retreat mode, a familiar pattern. Whenever public chaos hits, he shuts down physically, emotionally, and digitally, turns off his phone, cancels meetings, blocks news alerts. But this time insiders say it felt different, because it wasn't just a bad headline or a scandal he could deny. This was cartoon-level humiliation, and worse, he wasn't the story, he was the punchline. Staff reportedly found him pacing the long gravel path around their Montecito estate, barefoot, hoodie up, whispering to himself. One former aide said he didn't seem angry, just lost, like he was mourning something he couldn't quite name. And it wasn't just about being mocked, he's been targeted by tabloids, comedians, even British MPs before, but this hit deeper. This was personal, a floaty labeled validation, a cartoon therapist holding mommy issues flashcards, a rejection letter from Netflix framed in the background of a scene. It was sharp, layered, and emotionally brutal in the way only satire can be, and Harry understood exactly what it meant, that all his public efforts, every interview, every podcast, every memoir passage had been boiled down to a single image of him chasing relevance behind a wife sipping rose. Insiders say he stopped answering his American therapist, stopped replying to army friends, even ignored a voicemail from Elton John, one of his few long-term supporters. And the tension with Meghan reportedly grew. She was pushing for full scale legal action, total takedowns, a sharp strategic reset. Harry, on the other hand, just wanted everything to stop. He wanted peace. He didn't want to sue a cartoon or track down Reddit users. He wanted to vanish, maybe even return to London for a bit. But that wasn't on the table, because to Meghan this wasn't just satire, this was an attack, and she had no intention of letting it go.
If it's truly what we want, then we really can get away from it all. No more magazines and Netflix shows. We really can live a normal life.
She allegedly accused Harry of checking out when it mattered most, of shrinking instead of standing up for them, for their image, and that word brand was reportedly the final straw. Sources say Harry snapped, yelling something about never signing up for this circus before storming off and locking himself in the guest house for the night. No security, no messages, just Harry, a bottle of whiskey, and the sound of waves hitting the cliffs, because no matter how often they say they left the firm, the world still treats them like they're part of the show, and now the show had turned them into animated legends without mercy. But while Harry unraveled behind closed doors, the men responsible for the chaos were just getting warmed up. While Montecito scrambled and Hollywood went quiet, the creators of the storm were thriving. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the duo behind South Park, who built their careers on pushing limits, took the stage at the San Diego Creators Forum looking completely unfazed. That kind of quiet confidence that comes when you know you've hit something raw, something real, something that's shaking conference rooms from LA to London. They didn't name Meghan or Harry. They didn't have to when a moderator asked how they handle lawsuits or legal threats from powerful people. They parody. Trey grinned and said, "We frame the legal notices, now they're like fan mail." The room cracked up. Matt added with a wink, "The trick is to strike where the PR team panics first. That's when you know it landed." And Then came the bombshell. They revealed the full episode. The one tied to the leaked yacht frames was already finished, not in production, not being written, finished, and according to their hints the leaked version was the soft one. Trey said if that little Rose joke got them scrambling, they're not ready for the ending. The crowd was stunned, laughter, gasps, a few mouths actually dropped, because the leak had already been brutal. A cartoon yacht and Oz whipping in the wind, a prince floating with a bottle labeled relevance, and now they were teasing something even harsher.
We couldn't get jobs and we ran out of money. We ate chicken out of bowls and rode in big cars full of smelly people to something called work. Every day was a new nightmare.
What else could they possibly have in store? One rumor claims there's a courtroom scene where the Duchess tries to sue a cartoon character for defamation, only for the judge to reveal he's animated too. Another leaked frame allegedly shows Harry trying to trademark the phrase misunderstood millionaire, while a parody of Oprah nods in the background holding cue cards, and if that sounds savage it probably is, because for Parker and Stone this isn't just TV, this is blood sport they've always targeted. Hypocrisy, manipulation and curated image making, and with Meghan, they saw a perfect storm, someone who turned pain into product, expected praise without pushback, and built a public persona on untouchability. As Matt bluntly said on stage, when your brand depends on never being laughed at, that's exactly when we show up. And the most unsettling part, they're not done. Trey hinted there's more unreleased footage, saying we've got stuff we animated that didn't even go through legal, we're keeping it in the vault for now, which means this saga might just be getting started. If the first leak fractured their image, the full episode could blow it wide open, because South Park doesn't just mock, it defines, and once they stamp someone with a label, and the culture runs with it, turns it into memes, tweets, TikToks, jokes in group chats, that label becomes the new reality.
Why are we so bad today?
Because we want our privacy.
But before the episode could even air, the internet hijacked the narrative and turned a few cartoon leaks into cultural canon, because while Parker and Stone may have drawn the first blood, the meme makers made it a movement. Within 12 hours of the yacht leak, the meme factory was in overdrive. South Park may have lit the fuse, but TikTok threw the match into a gasoline-soaked algorithm. Hashtags exploded, edits flew, deep dives surfaced, and a few blurry storyboard frames became an entire cinematic universe online. The creativity came faster than anyone could track. One viral video spliced the leaked Meghan cartoon with actual 2014 yacht photos off Sardinia, styled like a deleted scene from a Netflix doc. Another layered Harry's floaty scene with a haunting Lana Del Rey track captioned "Public sympathy declined" and tagged with "Brutal Royal Floaties Yacht Saga Victim Card declined." A wave of reels under the tag Ndaz and Rose paired Meghan's past speeches with cartoon imagery and slow zooms on NDA documents blowing in the wind. It wasn't just satire, it was production value. One creator even edited a fake trailer titled The Duchess Diaries from Deckhand to Disruptor, complete with dramatic strings, a parody Oprah voiceover and South Park snippets. It hit 3 million views in 48 hours, and it wasn't just Gen Z fueling the fire. Longform creators jumped in too. YouTubers with millions of subscribers uploaded exposés titled The Yacht Theory, now in animation. Others went with why Meghan Markle just lost the culture war, racking up views, reactions, and a digital avalanche of comments from both critics and former fans, because in the court of public opinion, all it takes is one spark, and the internet, it just turned satire into a storm.
Hey, thanks for having us on the show.
It's so awesome to be here. It's great.
These weren't casual reactions, they were crafted like Netflix documentaries with timestamp screenshots and side-by-side comparisons showing exactly how the satire lined up with real-life rumors, and they just kept coming because South Park gave the internet its favorite weapon, plausible deniability, in the form of parody. You're not saying the yacht rumors are true, you're just commenting on the fact that a major animated show found them culturally relevant enough to animate, and that's the loophole. It gave millions of people permission to laugh. Even fanfiction writers jumped in. A subreddit called Yacht Lore Expanded Universe appeared overnight, filled with alternate endings for the episode, speculative cartoon cameos and dialogue, where an animated King Charles watches Meghan's yacht drift past Buckingham Palace. It sounds wild, but this is how reputations unravel today, not with a single headline, but with a hashtag, a meme, and a remix. And her defenders tried to push back the hashtag. Misogyny at Sea trended briefly in an attempt to label the South Park treatment as sexist. Influencer allies posted polished minimalist graphics about respecting women's journeys and refusing to uplift harmful satire, but none of it stuck, because once parody hits meme velocity, resistance just fuels the fire. Even the defenses got remixed. One video of a wellness influencer praising Meghan was edited with yacht horns and South Park style animation. Harsh, maybe, but viral culture doesn't care about fairness, it feeds on friction, and as the memes piled up, the brands started watching closely, not the headlines but the engagement behind the scenes. Sentiment data took a nosedive. Brand strategists, investors, and analytics teams didn't respond emotionally, they responded like algorithms with budgets. The moment those yacht frames went viral, search volume for Meghan yacht rumors surged over 400%. Her branded engagement Numbers for the podcast and wellness products plummeted 37%. In under 3 days, the phrase has ever got completely overtaken by NDA and rose jokes, but the real red flag came from donors. 2 insiders familiar with Archwell's funding claimed high-level contributors requested new clauses in their contracts called distance clauses, which legally allowed them to pause funding if Meghan and Harry became culturally unviable. Not controversial, not criminal, just laughed at too hard. One donor reportedly told a colleague, "We can't stay attached to something becoming." Shorthand for insincerity. And then came Netflix, once the crown jewel of the Sussex media brand. That $100 million handshake suddenly went silent. No push for old content, no trailers for new projects, no press, no promos, just a quiet vanishing act, and that silence said everything.
What happened to your ring?
I gave it to the working people.
We're the working people.
And based on a streaming insider, Meghan's newest pitch, a mixed-format docudrama centered on personal reinvention through hardship, was recently quietly passed on with no follow-up meeting planned. In other words, they're not even answering the phone anymore. At the same time, high-end retailers that once stocked Meghan's as ever line, including her wine products, are reportedly reconsidering how visible her brand should be on their shelves. One European distributor supposedly called it brand erosion in real time. Another said people don't want satire in a gift basket. As for podcast platforms, don't even ask. Her second audio comeback was supposed to be a major return. She'd held talks with agencies, scouted producers, and had episodes lined up about resilience, grief, and identity, but now the whole thing is stalled in limbo. One executive was blunt, saying the Meghan brand has shifted from misunderstood to unmarketable. People aren't tuning in to engage, they're listening for contradictions. Even her public speaking circuit has taken hits. Leaked internal messages show event organizers are worried about crowd reactions and social media backlash. One major corporate event that had confirmed her as a keynote speaker is now reportedly reconsidering, citing concerns about cultural alignment, meaning too much drama, not enough dignity. And this is the exact scenario her team had long feared. Not just a round of bad headlines, but real financial damage and reputational decline. A single cartoon joke has snowballed into a 7-figure fallout, and that's before the episode has even aired. So now, according to insiders, the Sussex team is in scramble mode. Meetings that were once about expanding are now about staying afloat, protecting what's left instead of growing, because if one more public blow lands, it might not just damage the brand, it could completely dismantle it, and the moment they feared most is officially locked on the calendar.
Sorry, I'm just really stressed. We're completely out of money.
Maybe it's time we dip into your fortune from Suits.
There is no fortune from Suits.
The episode now has an official title, a confirmed air date, and a promo set to drop within days. No more speculation, no more leaks. It's happening. South Park isn't retreating, they're going all in, and the internet is counting down the hours. According to industry insiders, Comedy Central has secured a prime time slot for the premiere, complete with a post-episode panel and bonus footage rumored to include the controversial and used storyboard scenes, the same ones that allegedly had Meghan's legal team on alert. But here's the bigger picture. This isn't just another animated episode, it's become a cultural verdict, because after all the high-profile interviews, Netflix specials, Spotify fallout, best-selling memoirs, and branded product launches, it's all led to this: a single 30-minute animated segment that could shape the public's long-term perception of Meghan and Harry more than anything they've put out themselves. And why? Because we've moved past facts, we're in the era of emotion and perception. South Park read the moment perfectly: the weariness, the disconnect, the growing gap between public messaging and public sentiment, and by turning it into sharp, absurd, and unforgettable satire, they captured something traditional media has struggled to pin down. Mockery carries weight, and once someone becomes a cartoon, especially twice, they start being seen not as real people, but as representations of something larger. The victim becomes a brand, the brand becomes a meme, the meme becomes a punchline. That's the path critics argue the Sussex story is now following.
Anyway, Meghan, you were saying Dorit's such a what?
What? No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, Dorit.
Well, I heard it somewhere.
And this episode might seal their fate permanently. Even journalists who once supported Meghan are starting to squirm. A handful of sympathetic op-eds have surfaced questioning whether satire has become a weapon and whether parody has crossed a line, but those pieces aren't resonating because the public isn't rushing to defend her. They're amused, and that's the harshest twist. The comment sections aren't full of concern, they're full of laughter. People online are already guessing which jokes will make it to air. Cartoon Harry in water wings, the defamation courtroom scene, Meghan's yacht-themed music video parody. One fan theory making the rounds imagines a fake award show called The Wokies, where cartoon Meghan wins a Lifetime Achievement Award in personal branding, only to be cut off by her animated therapist holding up a mirror. Absolutely brutal, and as far-fetched as it sounds. Remember, this is South Park, the same show that once drew Tom Cruise literally hiding in a closet. They don't pull punches, and that brings up the legacy question. After this airs, there's no rewind, no inspiring documentary or emotional rebrand can erase the cultural footprint of this moment. Meghan won't just have a public image anymore, she'll have a cartoon doppelganger, and according to sources, Harry has already told close friends to avoid watching the episode, not because it's unfair, but because the tone hits too close to home. It's not just satire. It feels like truth, and now the couple faces the only verdict that really counts, not from judges or journalists, but from audiences, from pop culture, from meme history. So what do you think? Can the Sussexes bounce back from this animated ambush, or has parody done what no scandal ever could? Drop your take in the comments, hit like and subscribe, and get ready, the next video is already queued up and you won't believe what's coming next.